Hi YouTubers, let's have a nice frank discussion about sex. Now recently I commented on a woman's video in which she was basically throwing herself at anybody and everybody. I replied with a tasteful comment telling her how attractive she was and how she should care about herself more and etc. I basically gave her what she wanted: attention, affirmation, etc. She replied something along the lines of, "Ew, ew, you're gross." Never mind the fact that this woman is probably in her early 30s. Now see, there's a couple of issues here. Number one, despite the fact that TV and newspapers and magazines tell us that only the tall, wealthy, extraordinarily beautiful people are supposed to have sexual desires, despite that little bit of propaganda from the culture, the reality of it is that every male wants to make love to a woman. That's right, not even make love. Let's just, be tasteful and say every male wants to copulate. And I'm going to say the same thing about every woman. Every woman wants to copulate. And if you don't know what that word means, look it up. Although I'm sure most of you will probably know that word. I'm a guy. I'm not going to apologize for my biological imperative, which is to find a woman and breed with her to produce offspring. I'm not going to apologize for that. Why the hell should I? I've got genitalia just like every other guy. Just like every guy. What's wrong with me being sexually attracted to a woman? Now see, I've had these issues with women in college, where, I had a friend who, he was tall, blonde, gorgeous, hunky stud man who would basically nail a new woman every night, pretty much. He would use the cheesiest lines with women, etc. And he always got laid. I would try some of the same lines with women and I would get the look of utter, supreme disgust. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm doing the same things this guy is doing. Are these women that fucking shallow? Seriously. And at some point I think, yeah, they have to be pretty shallow. Now, so you may be asking me, well, Nicholas, what's your idea of somebody who you would deem as worthy of copulating with? Well, first of all, intelligence is sexy. I believe that most sex happens up here in the brain. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to have a nice body, but it does help to have a nice body. But I mean, other than that, if I'm just going for a physical body, I might as well buy a blow-up doll from the local porn store. Really. I want a woman who I can carry on an intelligent conversation with. And I want a woman who I can trust Those two things alone, those two things, intelligence and trustworthiness, I'm gonna say it, it knocks most women out of the game immediately. And I'm gonna say the same thing as far as guys. It's gonna knock most guys out of the game immediately, if that's what you're going for. But our culture, our society, once again, TV, newspapers, magazines, the only requirements for a relationship is that you have a cool car, lots of money, and a great body. Nothing else matters. So if you don't have a car and aren't a Greek god and don't have daddy's trust fund to rely on, then you're just not a good mate. I really don't get that. I mean, you know, and what's sad is that it's not just teenagers who think this way. I'm seeing people who are my age, in their mid-30s, and they've got the mentality of, if a guy doesn't have a cool car, then he's not worth my time. Okay, first of all, ladies, I don't want a child. I want a woman. If you're not in control of your own emotions, if you're not intelligent, if you're not aware, if you're not spiritual, if you're not at my level, I don't want anything to do with you sexually. I don't. And you're not doing me a favor by pretending that you do. You know, and I'm really sick and tired of these women who, out of their own ignorance, out of their own inability to think, reject me out of hand because I don't have the things that society says I should have. As if having a cool car equates to good character. As if having a great body equates with good character, or having lots of money equates with good character. It's just, there's no rational basis for that. And I'm offended by how much human garbage I see out there that chooses to judge me as unworthy when it itself is so far down the totem pole that I'm not even going to give most of it a second glance. And I'm certain a lot of women can say the same thing about guys. But, you know, some people need to raise their standards. Some people need to have realistic standards. You know, the cars, the clothes, the money, those things are going to fade away. Really, those things will fade away. What matters in a relationship, not just the really great sex, but if you can carry on a conversation with the person before the sex, during the sex, and yes, after the sex. So, you know, that's my feelings on the subject, and have a nice